Hey guys, just finished doing the Tuesday live stream and came back into the house. There's no one here, so it's a perfect time to film this aquarium. So this is the 230 gallon that's sitting in the living room here. Kind of now after I've taken it over, you know, it's not anywhere I need it to be yet, but things are definitely growing in for sure. I haven't got, you know, the weird part is what I wanted to spread isn't spreading. What I didn't think would spread is spreading, and some cool things are going on. So. I did plant the dwarf sage over here. No, it's gotten bushier, but it hasn't just now. Just today, about 2 weeks later, is it starting to run there. Just barely. And then back here, I planted some throughout here, not spreading. And then back there, not quite spreading yet at all either. So, you know, that's this dwarf sage. Wanted it to spread around, not happening. Oh well. The crinum did make a baby. Where'd the baby go? The crinum, there's another baby crinum in there. It like split off. Where is it? I'm scaring all these angels as I'm looking, but it did split one off in there. But what I want to show you with this tank is a couple things. Like the wisteria is going nuts. You know, it's getting big. Back behind there, there's should be some water sprite. Yep, water sprite there is taking off. And the thing that I hadn't seen before, maybe it's just me, but I've never seen wisteria, at least in the tanks I've kept, carpet before. I must have enough light that it's carpeting. So when you look down here, you know, it's growing laterally instead of vertically. So, oh no, it looks like I lost a zebra danio back there. I wonder if an angelfish got it or something. I don't know how that went down, but yeah, I got the big bovinianus over here. And the flower might be gone at this point. I think I showed pictures of it on like Instagram or something. Let's see if there's any flowers going on still. But you know, it's all the way at the top of the aquarium. Yeah, the flower's kind of dying back there. That's what that is. And this is a new one, kind of right in the middle here. That's a new one that's gonna sprout or flower or whatever you want to call that process. You know, but that's what the tank looks like from this side. It's kind of this mound of Ponticetum bovinianus. It's, you know, sending lots of new leaves up, and it's super duper happy. And as you can see here, as some things get shaded out, so these are dying leaves, the snails are taking care of that for me. And unfortunately, my CO2 kind of just came on. This tank only turns on, like, I think I turned it on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's only been on for about 30 minutes or something like that. So nothing's purling yet. But we are injecting the CO2, and someone had asked how we did that. And what I do is I inject the CO2, so this is the CO2 line here. I've got my check valve and some silicone tubing, and it comes down and it goes to the intake of the canister filter. And if you watch the canister filter, you can see the bubbles going through it. That's also what I use my bubble counter. So it goes in, and it gets shredded by the impeller, and then it comes out through the spray bar. But because that process takes long enough, you can see here if we look at the spray bar, there's like no bubbles or anything that come out of it. So it's just pure, you know, pure dissolving I'm getting in there. And I'm running a little bit of, I want to take the sponge filters out, I've been too lazy, but I'm running a little bit of air in there, and that's mostly just to make sure that the water stays oxygenated, even during nighttime and stuff like that. And yeah, I probably need to add a couple of Siamese algae eaters. I've got some hair algae going on the old growth, kind of before, this was the stuff before I added CO2 and I kind of took it over. There's hair algae. The newer stuff's doing great. You know, since we put fertilizer and CO2 and started taking care of it a little more, it started thriving really well. But the dwarf sage has got it too, so it's spreading. I should probably put, oh, I do have Siamese algae eaters in here. I probably need to feed them less. That's probably what I need to be doing. I'm probably putting in too much food. But yeah, that's where this tank is at, and you know, hopefully I'll keep playing with it, and you know, if I get far enough back away, you can kind of see the full footprint of this thing, because it is a over 6 foot long tank. It's not quite 7 feet, but you know, it makes for a decent display. I can't wait till things fill in, and you know, I should probably put some wood or rock in there and play with it more. I just never find time. Like right now, I'm about ready to go out into the fish room, and I'm only doing this because I have, you know, a spare minute with no one in the house. I've had relatives around the whole time, stuff like that, so it's usually something's on the TV and it's louder in here, and oh man, but look at this Corydoras barbatus. Tell me that's not one beautiful fish. Love it. I hope the golds come out on video like they do in person, because I love this fish. A lot of times people are asking me what's in this aquarium. So like these guys here are roseline sharks, still real small. We've got some black swordtails. That was from when my wife picked them out. Most all the fish in here is from that. We've got zebra danios. The orange guys are male silver tip tetras. The kind of the lighter color ones are going to be the females. We've got wild caught angels that I put in here. We've got a group of neon tetras I put in. I put in a pair of orange flash apistococcotoides. The Barbados cories. There's some nerite snails that are helping chomp down some of the green spot algae we had going on in here. Siamese algae eaters. These right here are Borneo sucker loaches. So it's a loach, but it's also an algae eater. I don't think there's anything too crazy in here otherwise. The substrate is a mix of Eco-Complete, normal, just kind of sand, like a coarse sand, and crushed coral. And so it's, my wife wanted it to look this way where it's kind of a marbled look, so we've got more white over here, and we just kept it that way because I know that as I kind of fill it in, it'll be all planted anyway, and you won't even really see the substrate. So we've got a longfin female bristlenose. I might move a longfin male in here and make some babies. My wife, that's one of her requests, is that she would like to have bristlenose breeding in here, but I'm really enjoying the angels from kind of across the room. They're nice big impacts. So. Alright, so I've decided it's the extended version of the wife's tank because didn't find enough time to get in the fish room and film it all. I still got to feed, do things like that, but I can at least get this project today. So, here we go. This is 1 week's growth. So what you watched before was last week. This is 1 week later, and you can see this wisteria is filled in much more down here, and it's I'm gonna have to start really trimming it here pretty soon. And right now the plants are pearling a little bit. What happened was I cranked up the CO2 a little too much. Well, here's the problem. The problem is this filter I'm running has 2 intakes. So the problem was I had CO2 running into this one over here, and because it was such a weak flow going through, it started to get some CO2 buildup up here, and eventually this one just stopped sucking it in, and it was sucking 100% from the other side. So now I just have CO2 sitting here, bubbling like this, and I'm going to install a CO2 diffuser, but not the normal one, because a normal diffuser doesn't do what I want it to do. It gets filled with algae and clogs up, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to use. Well, I'll show you right now. It is the Fluval one. I've been using them in the store lately, and I love them. Gotta get more light here. But they work well just because there's nothing to clog up, and it's basically 2 chambers. And you fill this one up, and this one gets filled up with CO2, and because the bottoms are open, it allows the CO2 to dissolve into the water. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. I'm going to uninstall this extra UV sterilizer just because I haven't done it yet this week, and I should. And then I'm going to show you the new algae scrubbing pads that I absolutely love. Seachem basically came out with these, and they work on acrylic and freshwater. And I actually bought a bunch and have been testing them and made sure they're not harmful, at least in my testing. And so we're going to be selling them here pretty soon. If not, by the time you see this, soon. But they work both on glass and acrylic. They also work on green spot algae, which my nerites have pretty much taken care of for me. But, while I'm in here, I want to do a little bit more, and I got to do some fertilizer, stuff like that. But I've got some little limpet snails here. That's what these are. If I can focus in on them. A lot of people freak out about that. I just consider it to be part of a healthy system, so I welcome them. Up here, we basically have, same fish I had last time. Haven't taken or put anything in. But the Pontigeton bovinianus over here is definitely blooming lots. If I can see some of these more blooms here. Yeah, there's one right there. There's probably more because you can see all these big lines. These are all, let me open it up here. These are all the blooms. If I move this top. So yeah, there's another older bloom. And then if I open this right here, there's more blooms there. So this plant couldn't be happier. But what's probably going to happen, a Pontigetons, which this is, a Pontigeton bovinianus, what's going to happen is they bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom, and they try and replicate because in the wild they go through a dry season and they're going to die off. So this whole corner that's been filled with this plant will eventually die off. It'll look like nothing, and about a month later it will come back, and won't be an issue. But a lot of people throw their plant away. Don't do that. It will come back. So this is the dwarf sage. Last week, if you watched earlier in the video, you'd see it wasn't nearly as full. Still not spreading yet. Definitely doing better, but not spreading. But this wisteria is kind of awesome. I'm kind of wanting it to take over the whole tank. You can see it's creeping towards the back. You can see in the weeds there, long-fin female bristlenose is using it as cover. So, still got the Barbados cories. I'm really enjoying the way this tank is filling in. If I kind of come back here, you can kind of see, it's a lot of plants here, and that unsightly UV sterilizer that's coming out, and that big plant over there. I need to get some reds in here, but I just haven't done it yet. And I wanted to document what I've at least done, and then so you can see the changes. And now it's been 1 week. You can see how with CO2 and stuff, and this isn't even optimal CO2, it starts getting out of control. You can see that whole big section there. By next week is probably just gonna be a solid mass of like, oh, I gotta get it in trim. But so yeah, let me take care of this, because this is not, I guarantee you, this is not the efficient way to dissolve CO2 in. So let me get this CO2, what do they call it? A reactor? Diffuser. Let me get this diffuser installed and that UV out, and we'll talk some more. So now I've got the CO2 diffuser installed, and what we're learning right there, we saw the bubble go. That shows how much, probably too much CO2 we're putting in. So it's the same strength that it was that I was running into the canister filter. But these two chambers alone should be enough to get enough CO2 in there to dissolve in. And so all the extra CO2, which of course there's a bunch of stuff in the water now that I just clean the glass, so that's not going to work. But if you watch, the bubbles are coming out the bottom there, and it rises up, right? So all that, when it rises up through both chambers, that means there's too much CO2 going in because it's not dissolving fast enough. So why do you use a diffuser? That's an important thing that a lot of people ask about CO2. All a diffuser does really is give more hang time or more contact time between the water and the CO2. So when we had just the CO2 hose dangling here, we watched the bubbles, but the plants are still purling because some CO2 is getting in here. Now with this, there's going to be a huge amount of surface area that's dissolving into the water, but we only need to keep these full. And right now, when that big bubble comes through, that's showing how much we're having it way too much. So I probably need to turn it way down. That's going to give me a lot more bang for my buck on the CO2 tank itself. But that's what people worry about. They spend so much time worrying about efficiency when the reality is any CO2 pretty much works. It worked really well when I was running it through here. If I only had one intake, that's my preferred way to do it. But since I have two, technology is kind of hurting me there. So I'm going to turn that way down, and should be relatively efficient. And I think we'll get some great growth going on through the tank here. This is kind of the end view, so we've got the crinum down here, and so I'm trying to think of anything else. Turn the CO2 down. I eventually want to get automatic fertilizer set up in here. Right now I'm just using the Easy Green. So all I'm doing is Easy Green and CO2, and I'm doing no water changes. I haven't done a water change in about, I think, 5 weeks now, and my goal is to pretty much never water change here. Not never, but very, very infrequently. And then also what's kind of unique about this tank is there is no heater. So most people would say you have to have a heater with these types of fish. We're running no heater. Most fish do just fine at kind of temperate, household temps. I run my house a little warm, obviously, because I'm used to it at the store. So it runs, we only turn it down to about 72 at night, which I know is warm. But this tank probably runs about 68 degrees or so, and then during the day it's going to warm up a bit from all the lights that we have sitting on top. So these are all Fluval lights, as I just touched it, and they're all set to maximum strength. And one of these days I'll break out the par meter and we'll see how much par is it taking to get the wisteria to do that. You can see that those corridors being awesome. Maybe I'll feed real quick and then we'll close this out, because the buzzer, as you heard, dinner is pretty much going to be ready for me here in a moment, and I can start editing this video. Ooh, horrible sound. This is what my drawer looks like, filled with lots of Sarah foods. These are all Repashy foods. Sarah. Test strips, which I guess I could test my water while we're standing here. And yep, I use the test strips. But we'll take a look. I bet I probably need to put some fertilizer in. Not looking too bad. pH is good. Alkalinity is good. The third one down is going to be that hardness. That's good. And then we're really light pink on the nitrate, so I need to redose. Probably another day or so, these plants will run out of nitrogen. So I'm going to go ahead and redose my Easy Green here. We're just going to squirt that in. Takes, I do 23 squirts. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And I do that about twice a week currently. Every once in a while, a bit more than that. So, alright, I'll put some food in. If I can do this one-handed here. Which this seems impossible. I got it. And I'm just feeding some flake food here. It's that goldfish flake food, but it seems to do well here. And there we go. Gotta fix that CO2 because that sounds unbearable. The mollies, unfortunately, I should be catching them out of here. The zebra danios are picking on the mollies, and it's only the mollies for some reason, so I don't know what's going on there. But it's really hard to catch when you have a fully planted tank, so you can see the orange flash of pisto in the way back. Alright, well, that's probably a good enough view on the wife's tank, more than you ever wanted to know. I'm going to get that CO2 dialed in and eat dinner and edit. So thanks for hanging out, guys. And no tacos tonight. I heard it's chicken fingers and stuff, so I'm stoked. But we'll see you Sunday for the live stream.